computer. All right, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Dr. Dori Narbo, and I'm your host on today's call. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a clinical researcher and an author of several books. And I'd like to welcome everyone to our product Q&A call with Clayton Thomas, who is the chairman and co-founder of Root. Hello, Clayton, and welcome to our call.
Dori, thanks for having me on a Tuesday.
You're welcome. Well, today I thought we would talk about heavy metals and how it affects us daily, because I don't think that people are really aware of how prevalent it is in our daily lives. So think about that, Clayton.
I think you look at prevalence as well as pervasive.
Yes, I mean, you're going to touch on that a little bit later, but just think about that for now, because that's our topic for today. And while I give everyone a recap of last week's call. So last week we discussed the falling fertility rates and infertility. We discussed the aging population having babies that with toxic metals cannot be destroyed, or because they're dangerous. They tend to bioaccumulate, and when the heavy metals accumulate in the body, they're immediately absorbed and stored away in tissues such as brain, liver, your kidneys, and fat and bones to prevent immediate harm, so that they're not, because they're not easily broken down or metabolized or excreted by the body. And some of these toxins may be transported to our unborn babies. So, for example, lead can easily cross the placenta of mothers and damage the brain of fetuses. And children exposed to lead and mercury can result in learning difficulties, memory impairment, damage to the nervous system, behavioral issues such as aggressiveness and hyperactivity. And I think, Clayton, there's a study about this with the young boys in the States there. I think I read something about that.
Yeah, that decreases IQ, increases aggression, and increases rates of unwed mothership. That's all in one study.
Yeah, that was an amazing study. So also the nervous system of children are especially sensitive to lead and can also damage the kidney, the livers, the reproductive system, basic cellular processes, and brain function. So toxicity to the reproductive system by environmental pollutants has become a major global health concern. So that was what we discussed last week. But does anyone wonder how we are exposed and the sources of heavy metals? I mean, what are you exposed to on a daily basis? Well, so I did some more research, because, when you talk about heavy metals, people just kind of they just have this kind of blank stare on their face. They're really not knowing what it is, what it really means. I mean, to be quite honest, I really didn't have a clue until, I started really digging into it back in January. But heavy metals like lead, arsenic, mercury, aluminum, zinc, chromium, and iron are found in a wide variety of personal care products, including lipstick, whitening toothpaste, eyeliner, nail color, sunscreen, eyeshadows, blushes, concealers, mascara, foundation, hair dyes, and moisturizers. Everyone uses products for hygiene, beauty, and general self-care. And many personal hair products are contaminated with heavy metals, which is a concern since, they're used every day. And suffice it to say, I think I use most all of this. So every day, like the lipstick is a big thing. I probably have consumed a lot of that. And then, of course, there's antiperspirant deodorant, too, is also a concern because of the aluminum content. And researchers have suggested that the aluminum exposure through the skin from deodorant plays a major role in certain types of cancers. And also, I didn't know this, but decorative fashion jewelry is also a concern, showing heavy metals, like, for example, cadmium. So ladies, only ask for gold, silver, or platinum. Those are the three. Those are the top three. Okay, so just ask for those three. Don't settle for this decorative jewelry stuff.
Well, I'm actually going to call you out on one of those too to go along with it, but keep going. So I'm making
Okay, take a note. Okay. So, as I said before, we know that exposure to heavy metals has been linked to health concerns, including reproductive, immune, and nervous system toxicity. So from the time that we're born, our mothers used talcum powder on our little bums. I had it when I was little. All my kids had it too, because that's what my mother learned and that's what she taught me. And so I did the same thing. So a few years ago, I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a major talcum powder lawsuits, like in the States, against Johnson and Johnson. There was one woman who was awarded a record-breaking, like I think she got like $110.5 million for her claim that she got ovarian cancer due to the use of talcum powder for over 40 years. So that's just a little, and we're just kind of touching on these. We're not going really deep, but just to give you an idea of just how pervasive it really is, right? So, and it's in our food. And as we discussed in previous calls, heavy metals are in our food supply. From contaminated soil, from pesticides, as you mentioned, Clayton, the glyphosates, air pollution, and water. But how many of us, well, say for example, how many of us mothers went to the store, or fathers too, went to the store and bought baby food? I mean, raise your hands. Come on, get those hands up, because I know all of you have done this. If you have kids, you've all gone to the store and bought baby food. But did you know that one recent report claimed that 95% of baby foods contain, guess what, toxic heavy metals, including arsenic, cadmium, lead, and mercury? So that's pretty scary that, I didn't even know that, feeding our children that, we go to the store, buy all this stuff. We had no idea. We didn't know this. So in our food sources, heavy metals in food, mainly a lot of it comes from fish. So we should always limit our fish consumption, or especially, well, mercury for one thing, like from the big fish, right? Tuna, king mackerel, marlin, orange roughy, which we can't even get here in Norway anyways, or swordfish, we can't get that either. So it's not a big deal for us. But of course, and we all know that we should always opt for wild caught fish. So brown rice is another one, which is very interesting. Brown rice contains up to 80% more arsenic than white rice. So everybody thinks that white rice is really bad, but actually it's the brown rice. So rice takes up arsenic from the soil and water more easily than other grains. And arsenic is concentrated in the thin outer layer that gives the brown rice its color. And of course, we know that leafy green vegetables, there's a lot of cadmium in that. So, and also there's, heavy metals in the grains as well. But that's, yes, you want to say something?
Yeah, so kale has become a superfood over the last, we'll give it a decade, right?
Yeah.
And what we've seen from a clinical perspective and looking at labs for many people that I've worked with over the years, say in the last decade or so, that have had their urine analysis done, and we see high levels of thallium. Okay. And so I had to go back to some people. I'm like, what do you eat? It's like, oh, well, I eat kale. So I started doing some research, and kale, kind of the same way that rice and arsenic have that correlation. Kale is actually really good at binding thallium in the environment. And it's important to understand, as we change our diet and our lifestyle for these superfoods, and we buy into the hype, the same thing as people talk about being, and I'll transition a little bit and then we'll go back to heavy metals, but the use of glyphosate, and that as what Roundup is, since 1974, and people have gone gluten free in the United States. I don't think you guys have to worry about it much because they banned glyphosate like 20 years ago. But the thought process of people becoming gluten free, we don't actually have a gluten problem. We have a glyphosate problem in our gut and in our body because it's water soluble and it causes damage like mercury does, is what science is showing. And the issues of identifying how this stuff plays out, that garbanzo beans and chickpeas that are seen as the healthy alternative to wheat? Well, it's garbanzo beans and chickpeas, and even if they're grown organically, a lot of times, they use glyphosate as a desiccant after they're harvested to dry them out quicker. So the two little guys that you think are your biggest health food now are loaded with pesticides that are known to cause leukemia and lymphoma and cancer, other cancers, and lots of death and other, and destroy the microbiome in your gut and create antibiotic resistance. Because here's the interesting part. I don't know if you guys have MRSA, methylene resistant
Oh,
staphylococcus
sure.
aureus,
Hmm.
in the UK and in the EU and in Norway, but the prevalence of MRSA in the United States is all due to glyphosate. It's created by glyphosate because it creates methylene resistance. It creates antibiotic resistance in our body. So all of our health issues, when we look at our gut problems, go back to environmental toxicology issues, whether it's metals or glyphosate. So I
Okay.
didn't want to interrupt you, but I wanted to
No,
interrupt you.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. We're off the food now, but it's just to give you an idea that it's in the food, it's in our daily life, it's in the products that we can consume, that we use. So, and interestingly enough, what about aluminum pots and pans? Yeah, I thought that they're not even manufacturing this anymore. But hey, surprise, surprise, there's a large portion of cookware sold today. It's made out of, guess what? Aluminum. And manufacturers love this because it is lightweight and it heats evenly. But the downside to cooking with aluminum is that if that protective anodized coating gets any scratches on its surface, this will allow aluminum to leach into your food, especially when you're cooking with tomatoes. So we
Those
also
are
have to,
highly acidic.
oh yeah, exactly. So we also have to look out for aluminum, or I think some people say aluminium or tin. So in recent studies, using aluminum foil in cooking can dramatically increase the amount of aluminum in foods by up to, and we need a drum roll, Clayton. Uh-huh. Yeah, 378%.
Hold on, question though, because you're a researcher, I mean, is 378% actually statistically significant? I mean, come on, it's only 300%. I mean, we're talking about threefold. Is that a lot? I mean, come
It's a
on.
lot. It's a lot. It's like over and above. I mean, I don't even, yeah. So this is really concerning, especially now, with the barbecue season starting up. Everybody's getting that aluminum foil out, and it's barbecue time. And we have these like little, what do you call them, engongs grill? Well, like a one-off grill, right? Where you can it's like this aluminum that you can cook your hot dogs on it, and you go to the beach with, and that kind of thing. So that's another thing. So the other thing, what about drinking water? Most people assume that their drinking water is safe, but well, not you guys, because you guys are really contaminated over there, but we think it's safe over here. But actually, it couldn't be farther from the truth, because most water supplies have multiple chemicals in them, from pesticides to prescription drugs, and of course, heavy metals. And in one study, for example, researchers discovered that all the water samples contain heavy metal concentrations well beyond what's considered safe, which includes cadmium, chromium, lead, nickel. In Norway, I know most of us are still drinking from the tap. So we
Oh,
don't
no
have,
kidding.
huh?
No kidding.
Oh yeah, we don't have Arrowhead or these big water suppliers that come and deliver us water like you guys. But hey, our water's really good.
It's
Yes,
better than most. It's
it's
glacial. Get the glacial milk, even though the clouds from China are poisoning all the glaciers. That
yes. And then lastly, on my little talk today, what about our furniture and our mattresses? Did you know that your furniture, you may be the last place that you would think of for heavy metals? I mean, but the sad truth is that most furniture is made using protective finishes, dyes, fabrics, fire retardants, and guess what? Heavy metals. So this also includes your sofa, your mattress, your computer chair, your dining room chair, and yeah, what you're sitting on right now, what you're laying on, what you have over you. Yeah,
You're
probably your
quick.
clothes too. I didn't even think about your clothes. So this, when you come in contact with your furniture, it's potentially exposing you to heavy metals and other harmful compounds. And then, of course, as the furniture begins to break down, this gets into the air, and then you get to breathe it in. So, as we've discussed, health concerns would be developmental, reproductive toxicity, organ system toxicity, and of course, environmental concerns. More, I would say, about bioaccumulation, these toxins being stored in the body. So, Clayton, today we're going to introduce you to, or Clayton's going to introduce you to two innovative products, Clean Slate Zero In. And as I stated earlier, Clean Slate is, I believe, one of the most important foundational supplements that we can take. And as the name implies, Clean Slate, by removing the toxins, you get to reboot your entire system and start over. And I mean, what better time to do it now? This is spring cleaning after all.
We're
So
in summertime.
yeah, so we need to go ahead and reboot our bodies, and our bodies is a amazing healing machine. So it just needs the right tools. So before we start off, go ahead and give a disclaimer and just
Well,
give
you
us.
hit on so many glorious points that I have to expand on a couple things because I was
Okay.
making notes as you were talking because you're such an amazing source of information when you take your zero in and you get to researching.
I was actually thinking I should take another one, but then I thought I'm too close to the other one, and I might be like too crazy.
I
So I
know.
know that a lot of people want to talk about zero in today because now the Norwegians and other people are starting to have more experience with it, and yeah.
So the couple things. One, as you mentioned, and I think this is a problem for so many different companies, whether they're direct sales companies or just companies in the wellness space about making claims, and they have to try to position their products so they're perceived to be more effective or more beneficial than they might actually be. So people start making claims about, oh, well, this will work with this issue, or this will work with this issue, or if you have inflammation, this will treat inflammation, or if you have cancer, you should take this. I actually had a call from a couple guys a week and a half ago. They're like, hey, this product that we have, we'd love to chat with you about bringing it into your company, that it treats cancer. I'm like, are we done now? Because one, you don't need to treat symptoms or treat diseases. And from a root perspective, we don't. You don't. One, as Dori was just going over, and she so eloquently outlines in so many aspects every week. And I'm trying to get a compilation of everything that we do, and because Tuesdays with Dori are amazing. But there is no treatment for diseases or symptoms here. We don't treat any diseases. We don't cure any diseases. We don't care what your diagnosis is, actually, because as Dori was just outlining, who cares what your symptoms are if you know what the cause is? Because if you can remove the cause, then your body's going to take care of the rest. And this is what's so crucial to understand, for all of our community members, is if you're talking with your friends and they were like, well, what about this issue? What about that issue? Because my phone blows up every day with questions about, oh, this, what if, what if, what if, what if? And it all comes back to the same answer. Let your body do what it's capable of doing, because we were all made to be amazing, right? We have the ability to regenerate. We have the ability to heal. We have the ability to live if depending upon what books you read and what philosophical basis you have, we have the ability to live 600 to 800 years, because apparently it's been documented. But do you know what's changed over that time frame from the time that a lot of those stories were told? Our environment is no longer clean. It is no longer pure. And your environment and my environment, now granted, my environment is a lot cleaner than yours, because I've been doing this for a long freaking time. But the cool part is you get to join me. And that's why we created Root is, and I'm going to hit on 2 points here in a second, but we created Root as a foundation, as a way to be different, as if you understand what your mission and your purpose is, then it's a matter of how to build upon that and how to share it. Because I follow a mantra of walk, teach, and heal, right? Because in my perspective, that's what Jesus did. And I figured out what my goals, what my purpose was 16 years ago. And when I started doing all this detox work, it's like, okay, this is the message that I'm supposed to help get out. And we created Root as a mechanism to do that, to allow people to share really, really effectively. And, if you share our mission, or if you share our vision, which is one, cure the cause. And I'm going to give you a second of greatness here as I take her down. And we'll do this right there. That's our mission. That's who I serve. We'll put her back. Put her back properly so she still looks good. But the whole focus is remove the bad stuff, the heavy metals, the environmental toxins, all the stuff that destroys us, as we've gone over from conception all the way through our lives, that we're exposed to every day. If you can get that stuff out, we can function amazingly. But then the fun part kicks in, because then we take a little biochemistry and we take our zero in, because we take what nature created, some of the really crucial fun components of some amino acids, some extracts of caffeine, a little vitamin D, and then some pine bark extract. It sounds like we're making a little concoction. We take a little mucuna pruriens, which is a velvet bean extract. We take some pure curcuminoids, which is a turmeric extract, and we mix those together with the purest forms of those ingredients possible. There she went. I don't know what to tell you. She's running away from me. And we put those in a capsule that are stacked properly, which means that the ingredients that we have, the 5 actives and the 2 catalysts, have the right amounts of the right quality, that when you swallow a capsule or two and it hits your stomach and that capsule dissolves and those ingredients get into your gut, they go, and your body knows, oh, wait a minute, I know what to do with these. I know how to make dopamine and serotonin. Winning. And you have an increase in mental focus and clarity. I'll give it 10 to 20 minutes on an empty stomach. And if you use a couple of those, you can feel really good for a while. And that's how I use mine. I use 2 in the morning and I'm good for about 12 hours. And no crash, no jitters. It's a phenomenal alternative to some of the amphetamines that are prescribed, if you look at Vyvanse and Adderall. So if you're looking for a natural alternative to drugs, I'll just say drugs, because that's a large category, some of which are illicit, some of which are prescription. If you want a natural way to feel and function better than you've ever imagined, and then not have to worry about a come down or a crash or jitters or any of that, well, that's your deal. So it all comes down to using what nature put here to one, clean us up, because clean slate, this little guy, we'll make sure we face it properly, just like we're in the grocery store, is created from clinoptilolite, so nature's most effective crystal for remediating heavy metals, glyphosate, and other toxins from the environment. And what we did is we created and figured out a process that cleans out this cage structure and allows us to break it apart into much smaller fragments that are then very effective at working from your head to your toes and inside tissue and crossing some cellular membranes and grabbing onto these bad guys, trapping them in a cage, and then allowing them to be flushed out passively. But what's also really important to understand, because I've been getting, like in Slovenia, we have some amazing results happening in Slovenia. But in a day or two, some people are having some really significant responses that they're flushing stuff out like they've never imagined. And it's an indirect response to using the product, because this, by mechanism, is completely passive. It's like a little green garbage truck, as one of my colleagues says, that it just goes around your neighborhood and grabs onto stuff, binds it, and then takes it out. But your body, when it starts to recognize how this is working and what it's doing, your body's natural detoxification pathways and processes kick in as well. So you might see some interesting stuff start to come out of you. And it's all part of that process, and none of it's negative. And it's really, really important to understand that. The responses that you can get from using Clean Slate, you might go, oh my gosh, I'm like flushing stuff out of both ends. I've got stuff coming out of my skin. I'm a little lethargic, which means you need to drink more water and you might need to eat more sea salt. But that's all part of your body doing spring training, because here's what we know. If you've never done anything like this before, your body's been loaded up with trash ever since you were in the womb. Imagine you've never had the garbage truck come to your house in 30 years. What's your garage going to look like? Because you're not going to keep that junk in the house. Some people do. They call them hoarders. But the opportunity to start cleaning stuff up, what do you think your body's going to do when you show your body how to start working again? It's like, hallelujah, let's have some fun. So that's the principles of the two products. But I want to hit on two more things that Dori touched on when she's talking about jewelry, right? Because we know that nickel and cadmium in some of the artificial jewelry. But for all the ladies out there, and I'm going to work on a collaboration with Root on this, because we're going to do rewards, because apparently they're a lady's best friend, right?
Oh yes, diamonds are.
And you want to know what process is the greatest for absolutely destroying and polluting the environment? Diamond mining. That little stone you like to wear on your finger could destroy 220 acres just to get one little stone. But did you know that there are natural ways and ways to create diamonds in a lab that are flawless and amazing, and they don't destroy the environment? Because if we're going to be environmentalists internally, and we want to make sure that we talk about the environment, we want to take care of the environment, we also have to be cognizant of the decisions that we make. So that's one thing that's really important. Like for me, when I was getting rings for my better half who fell off the wall, it was quite important for me to make sure I was sourcing all of the components for the ring that I wanted to have made for her from good sources. All of the gold that's in her ring is recycled. All of the diamonds didn't come out of the ground, right? Because I didn't want to destroy a whole lot more of the environment. You've probably heard about blood diamonds and everything else. You go, there's got to be a better way to do this. So it took a lot of research, and I had to find the right facilities that could do it in the way I wanted to, because we don't want cubic zirconia. We don't want any of that stuff, because those aren't real diamonds. But if you can get real diamonds without destroying the environment, that's good times. And if you can get the gold and you get everything else, and it goes to saying, quality is everything. Quality of life, quality of products, quality of information. It's all the same. I mean, we don't want trash. We don't want to put trash in our bodies. We don't want to create trash and throw it in the environment. We don't want to destroy the environment. But the last component before we have some fun is when I was doing research into Fukushima and Chernobyl and radioactive isotopes, there was a law of physics that was proven in 1972 called the pet cow effect. And I'm going to type this in here so you guys can look this up, because you can use this in many aspects. But the pet cow effect is a law of physics that initially pertains to radiation. So you think, well, how does that pertain to me? Well, you guys live in Norway, you live in Eastern Europe, you live in the United States. Chernobyl melted down in 1984. Fukushima melted down in 2000, I think it was 7. It's a long time ago now. And both of those nuclear blowouts, meltdowns, however you want to call them, emitted massive amounts of radioactive isotopes in the environment. And what physics has proven is the thought was that a single large dose of radiation is worse for you than a little bit of exposure over time, right? Because that's the thought. And so if you were at Chernobyl or you were at Fukushima and you were exposed to a big blast, and it's likely that was going to kill you. But a lot of people live. And what the pet cow effect had proven is that a single large dose of exposure, and this could be with supplements as well, and this is why it's important. Like if you take vitamin C, if you take a couple grams of vitamin C, if you drink some water, in a couple hours, your urine is going to glow because your body recognizes it just got hit with a whole bunch of something, and it might be able to use a little bit of it, but the rest of it needs to flush out because it can't use it. It's too much. So the same goes for like a radiation exposure, or the same goes for, a nutritional supplement if you use a lot of it. The radiation component comes in. And what they found is that little dose exposure continually over time, I think it was 4 billion times more deadly than a single large dose. So you think of that and you go, well, how's that work? Because if you're exposed a little bit every day, and this is also the philosophy for supplementation, that if you give your body a little bit of something, it gets into your system and your body goes, I can use that. So it's going to metabolize it. Maybe it's a nutrient. It's like, I got a little bit of this stuff. I know how to use this. It's going to start in the Krebs cycle. It's going to do its thing. You're going to use it. You're going to absorb it. You're going to assimilate it. You're going to use it to make dopamine if you're using this, or so on and so forth. But if it's a bad guy, if it's a heavy metal, right? And if you wear rings that aren't good metals, or you wear bracelets, or you wear makeup, or you put stuff on your skin, or you put stuff in your hair, or you inhale stuff, whatever you do. I look like a magician there. The little bit that you're exposing yourself to every day, your body looks at that stuff and says, well, this is not good for me. I can't use it, but there's not enough for it to scare me. So I'm going to store it away. So it's away from all my organs. It's away from my system, so it won't hurt me. Well, guess what happens is that builds up in your body over time. It starts to cause a lot of damage, because where are a lot of those toxins stored? Fat. So you get obese, and you have insulin resistance, and then you're diabetic, and then you have cardiovascular disease, and surprise, you die. Or you have a heart attack and you have these issues and you can't recover from them. So it's a matter of understanding that our exposure constantly every freaking day is killing us slowly. Or it might not kill us, but it inhibits our ability to be like Dori, which is absolutely amazing. And that is why we use Clean Slate.
And zero in. And thank you for that.
Then we use this little dude so we can function even better. because it's nuts. I love it.
It's my favorite product, I have to say. So Lillian has a question about if you could repeat what's in the capsule in the
Well,
Zware
I
in.
will tell everyone first, go to therootbrands.com and then use the username for whoever referred you here. But Zero In is a combination of 5 primary active ingredients, which is tyrosine, theanine, pine bark extract, mucuna pruriens, which is velvet bean extract, and pure curcuminoids, which is a turmeric extract, 98% pure curcuminoids. And then we use an anhydrous caffeine, which is basically dehydrated caffeine from green tea, and vitamin D3. And the caffeine and the vitamin D are actually the catalysts that take those 5 actives and make them click when they get into your gut. So it's a little bit of chemistry and a whole lot of biotech. And one little capsule goes a long way. And 2,
It's really important to understand too that the way you have that stacked is really quite unique, because you can't just, oh, let's go, and if I get this bottle, and if I get that, if I get them all separated and try to do that myself, I take one of this and one of that and try to be your own little chemist, you're not going to get that effect like what the Zero In can give you. So there's a lot of products out there that claim that you know, they can do the things that Zero In can do, but this is completely different. You remember that company, Clayton, like years ago, there was a company called, I think it was Restores. It was a brain product, which was actually pretty good. But this, I mean, this is even better.
it's a different beast, and
I know.
it goes to science, and it's the one thing that I continually go over, and you guys can share this with your friends, that this formula. So let me see if I can get a couple out here. I take them out of the box because even the box is pretty. So these little guys, these little capsules took 3 years to develop to get the formula correct so they do what they're supposed to do. 3 years. Nutritional supplements don't go through that kind of process. Drugs do. Most people look at nutritional supplements like, oh, well, we have all these ingredients. And this is how the nootropic space, or the cognitive function space works here in the United States, is companies will look up all these different ingredients, maybe 5, 10, 20, 30 ingredients. And they'll go, wow, all of these are shown to do something amazing. So let's put them all in one capsule. So they start mixing a little bit of stuff together. They don't care about, you know, the source and the quality of the ingredients and how those ingredients interact and how they'll stack, as Dori mentioned. They don't understand that. And they say, oh, well, this is an amazing product. And you might have 5 or 7 different stimulants. Say, wow, this helps your cognitive function. Yeah, caffeine helps cognitive function. That's why people drink coffee. Number 1 consumed beverage in the world. Why? Because caffeine's a stimulant. Who knew? So what Zero In does, and what it's done is, you know, and I tell people, because there's a big push for biohacking here in the United States. You know, you have people that want to use natural products to enhance function, or maybe they're looking at putting different devices into your body, which is a little bit crazy to me, because you're not tattooing me, you're not putting anything into me, but they're all balanced specifically to work together, you know. So, and when you look at the ingredient profile, let me see if I can do this. I don't know if we can do that, but when you see on here that there's 575 milligrams of the 12-HBP proprietary formula, I'm going to give you a hint. There's not 575 milligrams. Interesting, right? Because in order to have 575 milligrams be active, you actually have to add more. So that's why this took so much work, is to make sure that, okay, with this ingredient, we need X amount of that. And in order to get that amount active, we need X plus 3. And then for the second ingredient, we need this amount active. So we need X plus 2.5. And we had to go through those. And then when this formula was complete, I had it tested for 4 years. So let's look at that. Because what we hear often in one of the old adages of when a company is an overnight success, right? And I'll tell you, Root isn't an overnight success. We're not pushing, hyping. We're growing rather consistently on the growth curve that we expected and that we desired, minus we had 1 month, what was it, April. I think it was month of April. Yeah, month of April, that we were a little bit behind what we had predicted and what we had desired. But there's no hype for this. We're doing it organically because the process is designed to be organic. And our mantra is easy, right? It's education, authenticity, simplicity, and integrity. Whoops, I gotta get my spelling right. So when you have those, you don't need to hype something, because you can rest assured that we've done our work to make sure that our community has quality and that there's science. But we're also going to make sure that the messaging that you're able to share is not complex, because as Dori's taught me, and as many other people a lot smarter than I am have taught me, because I don't have a doctorate. I'm not a PhD. My wife has a PhD, an EDD, and a PsyD. Dori's a PhD. She's one of the top researchers in stem cells on this planet. She's really, really good at what she does. She's amazing. And they've taught me really, really effectively, one of the most crucial components for our community is the ability to take something that's complex and make it really, really simple is the key to education. That's what we've done. We've taken wellness and we've broken it down to be so simple for people, right? Because wellness is a really simple equation now. It's addition by subtraction. That's it. Get the bad stuff out, good things happen. Add some good stuff to your brain, to your gut, to feed your brain. You feel and function amazing. So you can give the gift of happiness and health really simply. That's our entire approach. That's our entire model. So
Great. Okay, so we have we have 10 minutes left. So Geyer asked a question: by cooking with aluminum, heavy metals entering the no, not by cooking with aluminum, but that's with that 378%, that was with aluminum foil. So if you're cooking with aluminum and if you scratch it, what's going to happen is that's going to leach into your foods.
this is an important part, Dori. I don't want to interrupt you, but if you're a guy, because Dori can't talk about this as much. If you're a guy, we've scratched every pan in the kitchen. Women, not so much. Guys, we scratch every pan. So guess what? If you have aluminum, it's probably leaching. Get the copper. Get cast iron. It's good for you.
Yeah, cast iron is good. You get your iron this way. Okay, so anybody have any testimonials, anything they would like to share, anything they would like to ask Clayton before we sign off and go to the next call?
Yeah. While we're seeing those come in, as many of you, I think we've had some nightmarish issues with shipping, and because of this COVID crisis. But most of the packages that have been ordered, and we've been looking at here how to mitigate this if we start shipping replacement orders from inside Norway, because now all of our shipping is done inside Norway. But from what we got, we've been trying to just watch this process and work with our logistics provider to find out where everything is. And it looks like most of the packages we're leaving have left from May 26th until yesterday. Finally got out of Chicago and the places where that they were being aggregated to go to Norway. They have left, or they left yesterday. So we're getting there. But know now, if you are ordering anything now, it's shipping from within the country, which is also better for duties and taxes. And everybody will have some.
And we're going to have a special, right? A Norwegian special coming up.
There is a special coming. Yeah, I got to work.
Yeah. You guys are going to give us. You're going to give us a special one. Okay. What does Lillian say here?
What's in the capsule? Sounds like 7. What's in the box? So you have Mucuna velvet bean extract. So Mucuna is velvet bean extract. You have pine bark extract. You have, we'll say, turmeric extract, which are pure curcuminoids. You have tyrosine. You have theanine. You have a little bit, 100 milligrams of anhydrous caffeine, and you have 1,000 IUs of vitamin D3. Those are the, we'll make them available here. Let me see. Vitamin D3. Caffeine. Assurance. Theanine. Tyrosine. Uh-oh. Now she's writing in Norwegian.
Oh no, that's Christine.
Okay. 2 capsules.
She said she took 2 capsules today, this morning. She's going to go work. She has a night shift. She wants to know, can I take 2 or 1?
You could take 2 if you're working at night.
But she already took 2 this morning.
Yeah, I mean, some people are good with 2 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. I take 2 in the morning and I'm good. But if you're going to work at night, you could take 1 in the evening. It's one of those where you can kind of feel out your body and see how you do. I know, James.
But that's not all the ingredients, because that's just, there's that proprietary blend too.
No, that's all 5. That's all 7 of them.
Oh, that is it. Okay.
Yeah, because there's two below: the velvet bean, the pine bark.
Oh, no, there's something else.
The D3 is right above that because Lillian jumped in there.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So that's it. I mean, and it's the one funny thing, because people look at that and go, "Well, I know what those are." Yeah. And sildenafil works really well, and it's only 1 ingredient. People love that little blue pill, right?
Oh, right.
And it's only 1 ingredient. They go, "Oh well, it's only 1 thing." Yeah, but it does its job. Yeah. So
I've added you, Clayton, to our Nordic board because there's a lot of great testimonials. People are starting to post. I've asked them to put their information on the Nordic board, and also on our Root for Life board. Some of the testimonials there, you might like to read through them.
I'm going to have to jump in there.
Yeah.
And let me see. I'm going to have to find that, because I love getting into our Slovenian group and, going through the Root Your Life page. And if there's questions, I try to answer some of those from time to time. But one of the most valuable things you guys can do is document all of your responses, whether you're doing it personally or if you're willing to share your responses. And I will tell you, any type of feedback you have with the use of both products is going to benefit you. It's also going to benefit everybody else in the community, because that data, as Dori can tell you, because she's a researcher, I mean, that's where we can start to look at correlations and say, oh, well, you know what? Some people might have, some responses where they have a feeling of GI issues, because as you reset and as you start to clean up your system, your body is going to become more sensitive to its environment. And, depending upon the foods you're eating and the behaviors that you're doing, sometimes your diet as you clean up your body is going to need to change, because you're putting stuff in your system on a daily basis that your body no longer wants there or doesn't need. So you have to watch for some of those things. But the more feedback that we have as a community, the more influential we're going to be. And this is all about sharing, right? It's all about, what we can do and what we can provide for the people we care about. Because someone can't get invited to join the Root community without an invitation. And odds are good you're not going to invite people you don't like. I know I don't. So, that's what's important, is document, and do videos if you can, talk about it, show some stuff. If you're good at writing stuff out, write it out. Me, I'm not very good at writing, so I like to shoot videos, and then people say I'm crazy because I'm animated, but I don't care.
Well, okay, everyone. Anyone have anything else to add to it? We got 5 minutes left, but I'll put the link in here if anybody wants to jump on Clayton's next call.
Clayton, hi, it's Sandy here.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
All right. How goes it?
I love the clean slate. It's absolutely outstanding. I can't wait to get my zero in. I'm sleeping better. I've got more energy, less brain fog. Absolutely incredible. It's so thank you. I asked you a question in the group about a friend who's got chronic kidney disease. I met him today. He's on dialysis. His kidneys aren't working at all. Have you got any testimonials or anything like that where the clean slate can help, maybe?
Yeah, because the kidneys are a filter, right? And this goes back to the initial comments that, whether it's a physical issue like that where your filters are full, or symptomological, we don't have to treat the issues. But I actually can say I've had multiple instances of the past of working with people with similar issues where, kidney liver function was compromised. And because of how the fragments function, and they'll work through your circulatory system. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the nephrology, so the vascular function in a kidney. If you Google images of vascular system of kidneys, it is amazing what they look like with all the little veins and arteries going through there, and how much blood flow, because all of your blood flow goes through your kidneys. And the ability to get into even those smallest areas, right? Because when you look at some of the fragment sizes that we have in some of the scanning electron microscope images that are in the Root Your Life group, you can start cleaning up those areas. The same thing that we see with people sleeping better, like Sandy was just mentioning. That's a decalcification of your pineal gland, which is the light center of the brain. It's also known as the spiritual center of the brain, but it's also where melatonin is naturally produced. Mm-hmm. So if you can decalcify your pineal gland, your dreams become amazing, and you can actually sleep better. But with nephrology and kidney function, if you can clean up your kidneys, it goes for every other aspect of your body. If you can clean them up, it's quite possible that they'll start working again, because the body has the ability to regenerate. And we know that the liver has the ability itself to regenerate. The kidneys don't. So you need to clean those up. So if you can clean up a filter, like I have a little filter in my pool at home, and I have to take the filters out, and I clean out all the junk, and then I wash them off to make sure the filters are clean, and then I can put them back in so they keep cleaning the pool, so I don't have to buy a new filter. Well, our kidneys kind of work the same way, only we don't get to take them out and clean them out. You have to clean them out internally. And Clean Slate is really, really good at that. And there's this innate intelligence that goes along with this. And Dori and Claire are phenomenal resources to get educated on this, on how the body resonates with frequencies and how the body resonates with crystals and many different little things that they have in their hands. And you can see some really, really cool things happen. And what's really unique is in instances like that, for some reason, the body knows how to use these fragments in the areas that it knows it has the greatest need. So for me, I might see that I start to lean out really quickly again because I get rid of some of the negative inflammation from my diet because I've done this for so long. But somebody that has, improper organ function might see changes in those areas first because his body or her body recognizes, hey, you're giving me this stuff that can clean me up. I'm going to focus over here. So it's one thing to watch for.
Okay, thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
And I want feedback on that, because if you get him started on some stuff after a week or so, we want feedback.
Yeah, Dori, if you can get me the recording as soon as you have it available, I'm going to send him this so he can hear from the man himself.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I think we better wrap this up. We have 1 minute left, and you have to go, Clayton, and get on another call. And we will see you back here next week, Tuesday, same time, same place. Please invite and share this link with your friends and family, just to help them, educate everyone. All right. Thank you so much for coming on.